Hi everybody, welcome. Glad you could all make it here tonight. So let's go ahead and get started. Do we have any new business?
Yes. Can't we do anything about that person out front? He's an embarrassment. He's ruining the church's image.
Are we talking about the guy out in the thing with the Detroit Lions jersey
Yes,
on?
the Lions jersey, yes.
Yes, we can't be having that. I did talk to the police about that, and apparently being homeless is not a crime. So we are trying to get him for vagrancy.
Well, being a Lions fan isn't that a crime?
Being a Lions fan is a crime, yes. But I
Apparently
don't
not
know.
enforceable by
Apparently
law.
it's something we can't move on. So we're gonna move forward with the vagrancy thing for right now. We're just not able to deal with a person with his needs.
But excuse me, but what's the problem? At least we can start. He's hungry, and
I'm sure you're all wondering, excuse me, why we call this meeting. Well, to be honest, I'm concerned. I'm concerned about our falling attendance. Let me check my notes here. I'm concerned about our youth and adult education numbers are really down, as well as the morning worship. So I decided that we need some kind of new role model to really inspire the people.
Well, what was our old role model?
Jesus.
Right, and that's the problem. Can't you see the problem? I mean, he's bleeding, he's suffering, and worst of all, he is way unpopular.
Oh. I thought we'd been taught in Sunday school to be like,
Miss Rich, think now. Jesus, he died broke.
oh, how can we be saved?
I'm glad you asked, and here's the answer. Jesus did all of this so you wouldn't have to. Now, he loves you and has a wonderful plan for your life, but does this look like a wonderful plan for your life?
Being crucified? What?
Yes. I don't want to be crucified.
I
Now,
just don't want to be
we
cool.
need a new role model. We need a new role model, something that's keeping with the wants and needs of today's youth and adults. Are you guys ready for this? Because I have an exciting treat for you, okay? Just wait right here. I'm going to be right back. You got it. This is amazing.
I wonder what he's getting.
I don't know.
I don't care.
Well, I hope it's good because First Church of Pampered itself is really going downhill lately.
All right, everybody, check this out. Now, on this doll
Who is this?
is the personification of the new role model. We need him in the church today. Brace yourself, because he is chic. He is cool. He drives a BMW. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to Guppy.
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 What's Guppy? Guppy?
See some kind of urban professional?
Yes.
Who is Guppy?
Guppy, you guys, is God's urban professional.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So before we move on to the I'm going to go ahead and put him off to the side because we have other business. But come on, seriously, isn't he awesome?
Eh.
This is going to ratify everything. This is going to change the church.
Yeah,
I am
I'm
so
sure.
excited.
All right. Yeah, it's something.
Excuse me. I'm not sure that Guppy is what the Lord had in mind.
And now on to new business. Does anyone know? Do you guys remember Farmer Bob or Bob Brown?
Yes.
Oh, the farmer?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why his name is Farmer Brown.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, it seems the farm was very good to him this year. The Lord really helped him. Prospered, he had a bumper crop. So, at my advice, he tore down his storage barns and built these massive ones to store the harvest.
Oh, good plan. Keep the prices up.
Well, unfortunately, his soul was required of him.
Oh.
Oh, that's too bad.
But the good news is, he left his billion-dollar estate to the First Church of the Pampered South.
Woo!
Yes,
Wow.
yes. And that's the main reason we're here today, to discuss how to use the money. Do we have any suggestions?
How about, a new recreation center? We could have an indoor pool, maybe some racquetball courts and basketball, and we could even put give it a parking garage so that we could park the BMWs or when we're coming into church.
Really, Mr. Nelson, I wish that you would trade your BMW for a real car, like a Mercedes XL.
Excuse me, Miss Rich, but let's stick to the plan. Let's stick to the business. You know, the other day, I was driving by the new church in town. I believe it's called the New Covet Church.
Yeah, New Covet.
And as I looked, they were building with all the crystals and gold towers. I thought to myself, surely we at the Church of the Pampered Self could do better than that here.
Absolutely.
I have a few ideas if I could just put my input in. Why don't we build a new church out of gold and we could stud it with diamonds? Or also, I was reading the Fortune magazine the other day and I saw an ad for a cruise ship. We could build a new cruise ship and we could stud that in diamonds and we could have a swimming pool and a racquetball court. We could move the whole church on board.
Oh, that's a splendid idea.
Thank you. Those are the only kind I have. We could make the cruise ship stud of diamonds also.
I even have a name for our ship. We could call it the Ark of Prosperity.
Jonas,
What is it, Chris?
what, do you really think that this is the best way to spend that money? All we have to do is look outside our door and we will see people who need help.
I don't like my car out in the weather.
Yeah, seriously.
We have to find the hungry and the homeless outside our gates.
Is this on the agenda anymore?
Thousands perish
Are we here to
without
discuss
ever
poor people?
happening, without ever hearing the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Maybe they should get a job.
This money could feed the hungry. This money, it could send missionaries to the ends of the earth. This money, it could.
I don't really
Okay,
think I need
let's
it.
calm down, everybody. Calm down. Chris may actually have a point. We shouldn't spend everything on ourselves. Now, do we have anybody in our congregations that's interested in missions?
Oh yes, Mr. James. Whatever happened to him?
Yeah, didn't they leave?
He left.
Oh, well,
He
then.
left?
Right, okay,
Yes.
then apparently we have nobody to send. In which case, all in favor of the diamond-studded cruise ship, say aye aye.
Aye.
Woohoo!
Cruise ship it is.
Opposed.
Sorry, my hands smell like bacon.
Cruise ship it is. Moving on.
Diamond-studded cruise ship. You can't be serious.
We're so serious.
Chris, you'd think First Church of Pampered Self was some kind of evangelical nutty church. We're not. We're not. Missions and outreach, all of those things, that would just be a big waste of our money. I mean, those kinds of folks wouldn't want to come to this church anyway.
Exactly. And do you know why? Because people don't want to go where they're not wanted. And to be frank,
Here.
No, not
those
at all.
kind of people that Chris wants to bring into the church, they're just not wanted here.
By the way, Jonas, we lost our pastor, Jacob Killian, 7 years ago this night. But we have had such. Why did the pastor that replaced him? Why did he leave?
Because he forgot his place, that's why.
Exactly.
The last straw was that Sunday when perfect strangers visited our church and they had the audacity to sit in my family's pew.
Oh, I hate it.
Exactly. Of course, it was beneath my dignity to say anything to him about it, but when I brought this to the attention of the pastor, he refused to do anything about it at all. Instead, he dared lecture me, about welcoming visitors, greeting them warmly, making them feel welcome. It's as though he didn't understand the most basic principles of
Ecclesiastical order?
ecclesiastical order, that's right. Like, he didn't understand that. The church exists first and foremost for me.
As a pastor, he just didn't get it.
I mean for us. The members. I don't know about you all, but I truly miss, actually, the days of our Pastor Killian. Now, he really understood the business of church.
Members of the board, we have all been acquainted with Mr. Brown. His selfish nature and his choice to hoard his harvest is exactly what we would expect of him. I would expect of him.
Are we
But
back
this-
there again?
But this may prove to be a wonderful opportunity to reap a harvest for the kingdom of God. As you know, as the chair for the First Church Mission Committee, I have requested for consideration for several worthy missions projects. Every year, I've always been told we lack sufficient funds. Well, that excuse has been removed. In fact, we can give some funds for the outreach and missions, maybe a few less diamonds on the cruise ship.
Chris, now every year you approach this board about requesting funds for missions. How much exactly have we donated to missions? So
Well, exactly nothing.
that's right. Nothing, zero, zip, nada.
Which is
Do
too
you know
much in
why?
my opinion.
Chris,
You know,
why?
quite likely you're finally going to tell me, but no doubt, once I hear the answer, I don't really want to know.
Well, whether you like it or not, I'm going to tell you. Chris, has it ever occurred to you that if God wanted to save the heathen, he certainly doesn't need our money to do so?
Not at all.
Well, but surely you understand the task of fulfilling the Great Commission and of making disciples of all people is our Christian responsibility. There are so many needs in the world. If we as Christians don't act, who will?
You are exactly right. There are many needs in the world. So many needs, in fact, that it is impossible for our little church, our dwindling church, that would we be able to make any difference at all.
Not at all. And we must consider our own present economic circumstances. Fuel prices, food prices, basic necessities, they've gone up so much in price. Our congregation has had cutback in giving. Maybe we got caught up in the cruise ship idea. Perhaps if we were to place these monies in a trust, it could be preserved for many generations.
Don't you mean embalmed?
What was that?
Well, could we at least consider a neighborhood outreach program designed to introduce Christ to our friends and our neighbors?
She means door to door with Bibles and tracts, like some kind of Jehovah's Witness or morons.
I think you mean Mormon, Miss Rich.
Whatever. So what, does she want to buy a fleet of bicycles?
No,
Little
no,
bell
I
sounds.
don't. I just want.
Chris, we have our reputation of respectability to consider here.
Yes.
No desire to be considered a fanatic. Faith is a personal matter and
Exactly.
best kept to oneself. And another thing, no one has a right to impose their views of God on anyone else.
Here, here.
Yes.
Thank you. I let my life and my actions do all my preaching for me.
Amen.
Listen, it is getting late. I propose we adjourn for the evening. I propose we sleep on it and we get back together tomorrow night before making any decisions.
Well, I'll make that as a motion.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, majority. Meeting adjourned.